It was summertime on the island of Sodor. Sir Topham Hatt was in Great Waterton with Miss Jenny and her machines. They were building a new bandstand. There was to be an open-air concert that evening. It was a special surprise for Lady Hatt. She loved brass bands. All the engines were busy helping to make the day special. Edward was bringing special parcels. Thomas was bringing the banners and bunting. And Percy was bringing the gravel for the pathways. Percy tried to shove the trucks into place, but the trucks decided to be troublesome. Percy pushed and pushed, but the trucks wouldn't move. Percy knew what he had to do. He had to use his do-as-I-say whistle. So Percy blew his whistle long and loudly. The trucks knew that when Percy blew his do-as-I-say whistle, they had to do what he wanted. It meant Percy was in charge. Soon all the trucks were in line. Sir Topham Hatt bustled over to Percy. Percy was relieved. Percy had collected the carriage. He was very excited. He had to meet Lady Hatt at Maithwaite Station. It was a long way from Great Waterton. At last, Percy puffed into Maithwaite Station. And Lady Hatt climbed on board. Percy was worried. He was supposed to take Lady Hatt to the bandstand. That was their special trip. Percy knew there wasn't time to go to the duck pond, but he didn't dare tell Lady Hatt. He thought she might be cross. So he puffed to the duck pond. Lady Hatt stood by the duck pond. She liked watching the ducks. They quacked and quacked. But Percy wanted them to be on their way. At last, Lady Hatt was back on board. Percy was very worried. He knew there wasn't time to go to the windmill, but he didn't feel brave enough to tell Lady Hatt. So Percy puffed away. When they arrived at the windmill, Dusty Miller was there. Lady Hatt was pleased. Percy huffed to himself. At last, Lady Hatt finished talking to Dusty. Percy was more worried than ever. Percy puffed to the woods, but with every puff he was getting later and later, and further from Lady Hatt's surprise. Percy and Lady Hatt arrived at the woods. Lady Hatt wandered off to admire the bluebells. Percy waited and waited. Suddenly, Thomas puffed up to Percy. Percy didn't want Sir Topham Hatt to be cross. He didn't want the surprise to be spoiled. So Thomas puffed away. Percy couldn't see Lady Hatt anywhere. Percy knew what he had to do. He had to use his do-as-I-say whistle. Percy blew his whistle long and loudly. Lady Hatt came out of the woods. So Lady Hatt climbed quickly on board and Percy raced away. Percy steamed back to Great Waterton as fast as he could. The band was warming up. Jack and Alfie were very excited. Percy had arrived with Lady Hat on time. The band started to play. Lady Hat was delighted. Percy was pleased. His do-as-I-say whistle had saved the day. It had been really useful, and so had Percy.